Welcome into WVUA Law Call tonight. Tonight, our topic is Dad and the Law. Now, it might sound a little bit odd. What is Dad and the Law all about? Well, here's what it's about. It's about wills and estate planning, planning for your future, planning to take care of your family. There's a lot of questions that go with this. Planning for a will, planning for medical care, planning for a nursing home, powers of attorney. Do you have enough money set aside to retire on? Do you even need a will? Do you have enough money to have a will? Lots of questions to answer tonight. That's what we're talking about here on WVUA Law Call. Our attorneys are here to answer your questions. All you got to do is pick up that phone and call them. Here's the number you need to know. It's 205-348-WVUA, 205-348-9882. Also, you can email in that question to lawcall@wvuatv.com, and we're going to take some of those email questions in just a few moments. So go ahead, be the first one to get your question here on the air on WVUA Law Call tonight. Here's a look at what's coming up in the next few weeks on WVUA Law Call. Next week, June 18th. Summertime injuries. June 25th, immigration law, a really interesting topic. And then July 2nd, religion and the law. Of course, we have Matt Glover in tonight. Bob Prince usually here, but Matt's holding the fort down tonight. Matt, glad to have you here.
Well, I'm going to try, but I tell you, this topic makes me so nervous.
Does it really?
You think one
of your little boys is going to call in?
Well, no, I had this ongoing conversation with my wife. Are you doing the things you're supposed to be doing as a husband? And I just keep putting it off because it's just like if I acknowledge, then it's like I'm acknowledging that something may happen to me one day.
Well, it is one of those things that gives you a weird feeling when you think about it that way. I've thought about that before. You're sort of planning to not be here anymore, which is a little bit strange, but of course it's very important. And,
very important.
And it's important for your children, those that you leave behind, and those down the road in your family.
And that's exactly right. And I know that at the end of this show tonight, that the guest is going to convince me that I need to go home and just get my business in order.
And get everything straightened up.
That's right.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to our guest in just a few moments, but we do want to talk a little bit before we do that about the type of law you practice. Of course, Matt, in your firm, you all do personal injury. You see a lot of injuries in the summertime, I'm sure, with people on the roads, people out doing outdoor activities, sports. People are bound to get hurt. And what are some things you could share with folks this time of year just to make sure that they're safe and that they know their legal options if something does happen?
Well, one of the things that we notice that happen this time of year, especially with summer, are more accidents that happen on the lake, on the river, and in swimming pools.
Sure.
in your backyard. Mm-hmm. I tell you, one of the hardest things that we do at our firm is when we say we represent injured people, we represent all injured people. And unfortunately, sometimes children are injured. And it's the hardest thing to work on are cases when children are injured or when children die. But my tip to the public is to look, if you've got a swimming pool, for instance, Terry, in your backyard, make sure somebody's out there watching when the kids are playing. If you've got a pool back there, get a fence around it. And then just realize that in an instant, that person you love, they can be gone. And so we're having a lot of fun, but by all indication, let's try to take a little extra precaution so that we don't lose someone.
Absolutely. Some good information there. Yeah, pools, water sports are so much fun, but they really can be so serious.
That's right.
All right. And Matt, let's talk a little bit more about our topic tonight. You've got a guest to help you out.
Sure.
And why don't you introduce him?
Well, I knew Joel was going to be here. Joel Dorroh is our guest. But this is no joke. I went to get a haircut at the barbershop last week, and I was telling the barber a little bit about what I do. And the first thing he said was, "You know Joel Dorroh?" And then today I'm at the doctor, and I know this doctor pretty well, and he got to talking about some subject. He said, "Do you know Joel Dorroh?" And then I kid you not, I was in my neighborhood the other night, and somebody asked me, "Do you know Joel Dorroh?" And the reason is everybody who knows Joel Dorroh likes Joel Dorroh. He's a person who is tremendously respected in our community, from firemen to policemen to judges to lawyers to doctors. He and his family have got such a great reputation, and one of the reasons is because they genuinely care about people. And tonight, he's going to be sharing with us some ways that he can help people learn how to care for others. And so I'm so excited that we've got someone who's known at the barbershop and at the doctor and in the neighborhood, and that is Joel Dorroh. And Joel, well, we know you've been on the show before, but we're so glad to have you back here tonight.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll have that check in the mail to you for all the kind words.
They must have, yeah. You must have been right ahead of me.
That's right. I thought you were going to end that with it, and then it went in the post office, and they knew me there from being on the wall, too, or something like that. No, thank you for saying that.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you here, Joel. You are a repeat guest. This is, I think, your third time on the show, so you know how it works. You know how to do things here. And Joel, we've got lots of things to talk about tonight with this. It's a complex topic, and it's one that applies to just about everybody out there. How did you get interested in working in this area of the law?
Well, that's a good question. I actually did a little extra schooling, even beyond law school. I went to a school that specialized in tax law. And in doing so, it kind of led into several aspects, one of which is estate planning, because some of that involves estate taxes. And then that just led me into doing just general estate planning. And then you wind up doing also the sort of the flip side of that, which is probate law, which is what happens after the person passes away and you put their estate plan into action.
All right. And I bet you enjoy the opportunity to help people, especially if they're struggling through a tough time emotionally in their family.
Sure. It's a very rewarding area of law. Just like I know Matt, enjoys what he does because he's helping people that are genuinely, struggling out there that have been, that have either been injured themselves or their loved ones have been injured. The same thing with what I do is it gives me an opportunity to genuinely work with folks, and at the end of the day, hopefully they come out better than when they came in to see me in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, good to know. And we've got lots of folks waiting on the phone. They have some questions they want to get answered tonight, so we're going to give them the chance to do that. Up first on the line tonight is Charles in Tuscaloosa. Hi, Charles.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, Charles. How are you?
All right. I just wanted to call and ask, my mother did a reverse mortgage on her house. And I'm trying to get the will put into my name, because she older lady. And I wonder what process do I need to go through in order to do that?
Well, reverse mortgages is something you've heard a lot about lately.
Sure. It's something that that several years ago we didn't hear a lot of. Nowadays we're hearing more and more about reverse mortgages. They're still fairly rare. We don't see them every day.
Real quickly, Joel, what is a reverse mortgage for those who don't know?
Sure. A reverse mortgage is, most of us are familiar with owning a house, and we have a mortgage where we're paying the bank each month a sum of money in order to eventually pay off the house with the money that they loaned us to begin with to buy it. A reverse mortgage is kind of the opposite. It is at a point in time where we have actually owned our house. We assign an interest in the house over to the bank or lender, and they in turn pay us a certain amount each month. It in essence creates an allowance each month that comes out and gives us an ability to generate some cash flow from something that wouldn't ordinarily have a cash flow aspect to it. Our house is paid for, but we want to be able to generate some money back out to us because we may have utility bills or medical obligations that we need to pay, and it allows us to do that. In answering Charles's question, Charles, your mother could deed the property to you, and there's a difference between a deed and a will, and some people get those confused. A will would leave it to you when your mother passed away. A deed would transfer that property immediately to you. But either one is going to transfer it subject to that reverse mortgage, meaning that at the end of the day, whatever money that lender has paid out to your mother is going to have to be paid off back to them in order for you to have the house free and clear, whether it's deeding it now or whether it's willing it to you after she passes away.
All right. And anything to add to Charles's question, Matt?
Well, I was talking to a client today. For instance, you can have a lawsuit. And sometimes people are financially against the wall, and there's companies out there that will actually come to you and say, hey, look, we'll buy your lawsuit from you. We'll give you a loan. And, it sounds good, but it's just like some companies that I'm sure do reverse. You just have to be careful. Sure. It sounds good, but, you may want to have a lawyer look at it because what may be good today in the long run may not be well. So don't rush into anything. That's the advice we always give. Sit down with a lawyer and perhaps make an educated decision.
All right, some good information for Charles tonight. Next up, Phyllis in Tuscaloosa. Her question's a little bit different than wills and estate planning. That's all right. Hi, Phyllis.
How are you all?
Good. How are you, Phyllis?
Hey,
We're
Phyllis.
doing fine. I was wanting to know, when you find out that the DA has withheld a toxicology report that probably would have helped in the sentencing of a person, what would be the next steps to take, what to do about it?
Well,